If chocolate isn't the answer, could you repeat the question? Hello, I'm Pat Coakley, and welcome to PODSNACKS, Art of the Diet, the weekly podcast that each week tries to ask the right question about how to maintain a significant weight loss. You can access all the episodes on www.ArtoftheDiet.com. Alrighty, it is 5:15 a.m. on the day of the fourth snowstorm in 3 weeks. We're calling it a four-easter now, not just a nor'easter. And I am walking at the YMCA thinking that I would have the track to myself, but oh no. There are these three ladies that are here and talking and walking, and unfortunately walking faster than I am walking. So you're going to hear them pass me periodically. But that's the price of doing a spontaneous podcast. And you know, some podcasts, folks, can do their episodes weeks in advance, months in advance. And I see why. Because they're not subject to power outages or snowstorms and all that sort of stuff. Here they come. Can you hear them? Anyway, so here I am on the eve of the fourth storm, and I've got a great insight into why, after 9 years, I'm still dealing with this weight management thing as if it's a new problem. And I'm laughing because I bet these ladies here are Weight Watchers. And I'm telling you, when Weight Watchers are dedicated, they are dedicated. And they are like out walking me by about 5 miles per hour. Oh man. All right. So anyway, I have one insight this week to myself. And honestly, it was sort of a revelation. And it's so simple that I'm like, Pat, why have you not been aware of this your entire life? Never mind for the 9 years you've been maintaining a weight loss. And that is this. I've had a life of cravings, and I've had a life of no cravings. By changing my diet and eliminating sugar and eliminating grains, I experienced a whole period of time where cravings were not there. And I've obviously had multiple years of experiencing cravings. So I've, Joni Mitchell, both sides now, I've been able to experience a life with cravings and a life without cravings. And I must say, my whole thought process about the life without cravings was initially very positive. I felt free in some ways from just the mental clutter of figuring out where my next hit was going to come from. And I seemed to have an ability to concentrate on whatever I was doing without thinking, okay, I'm going to go have a little something to eat. Or, I mean, honestly, to be able to make it through without thinking about lunch or dinner. These were revelatory moments to me, and they sort of felt like wind at my back. So as you know, for the last couple of months, maybe 3, I've been relatively sugar-free and grain-free, with some exceptions, but not enough for me to sully up my experiment. And the bottom line is, I've decided I like a life with cravings. I know it. I'm saying this. There is something about managing the enjoyment factor of food by eliminating food groups so that your whole neurobiological system is not triggered by these foods like sugar and grains. There's something about that life that it's like putting a fully lit house on a dimmer switch, and you just roll back that dimmer switch to the point that you can navigate. Don't get me wrong, you can navigate life, but things aren't brighter. There's just a dullness to it. And that's what I realized. Is that something that I can maintain? And the fact of the matter is my answer is no. Because as you know, I've done this before, a couple of years ago, in earnest. And that period of time went 4 or 5 months. And gradually, when I introduced some of these factors back in, it was very soon that I wasn't carrying on with any higher fat and no sugar, whatever kind of diet. So anyway, this was one of those weeks where I said, oh my God, we're having another storm. And I was at the store and I had the choice of buying my regular stuff, which by the way is nutritious. It tastes good. I cook it. It's like, a meal you would like. I just didn't want it. I said, oh Lord, I cannot have another chickpea casserole. So, in honor of the 4th nor'easter, I bought one of those gallon jugs. Not a gallon. It's like the big thing of marshmallow. Because I said, if I'm going to have 4 flippin' snowstorms in 3 weeks, I'm going to have a hot chocolate and some marshmallow, which to me is a treat. And the trick for me is going to be not eating the marshmallow all on its own, getting different hits throughout the day. Because if that's your only sugar source in the house, believe you me, you know it's there. So I was sort of smiling as I reached for it, because it had been 5 months or 4 months before I had picked one of those things out, probably in the beginning of the winter for the first storm. So then I went by the dairy counter, and there was my usual butter choices, and I sort of treat myself with nice butter. Sometimes I buy the Irish one, sometimes I buy the Finlandia one, sometimes I buy begins with a P, plug or something. But this time I saw, it looked like a pound of butter that was all solid, not in sticks, and it was from the Amish country. Now, it had to be double the price of some of these other things. And I looked at it and I said, oh man, that's expensive, number one. And number two, I went, ooh, I want that. And I said, no, come on, Pat. So anyway, I got my normal butters and went home. And I realized as I was preparing to do this morning that before the snow flies today, I'm going back to the store and getting the Amish butter. Because I'm 73, okay? Now, maybe if I were younger and I could carve out a few more pleasure centers in my life, I would do that. But this is the deal. It gives me a little treat to have really nice butter on a nice whole wheat English muffin in the morning. And so I'm going to have that. And I think the other insight was that there's really no way to avoid discipline. And yes, it is easier for me if I have fewer sugars and fewer grains. There's just no question, regardless of the kind of grain. So I need to realize that no matter what the plan is, I still have to do due diligence. And I noticed that when I didn't have the cravings, it seemed to me my portions went up. There was some sense of indulgence that was guiding my portion control center. And it was almost unconscious. So that I would have had to have had the portion police be really 24-hour surveillance in my house, divvying out the portions. Now, that's not going to happen. And even if there was somebody in my house that did that, I'd probably kill them with the first venture into trying to regulate me. So the bottom line is you look in the mirror in the morning and there you are, and you are responsible for the journey. And this week I realized that the no sugar, no grain just is not a lifestyle that I want to live. Even though it is easier from one perspective in the sense that you don't have the cravings. What's also true is that you don't have as much joy or fun or pleasure in your food, despite how good it looks, despite how good it is for you. And at least for me, I guess I'm a pleasure hound. And I never actually thought of my weight issues having to do with pleasure. I thought of them more in clinical ways, like emotional eating or compulsive eating or whatever. But when I take a look at it just from the point of view of what gives you pleasure, I said, wow, it is really unavoidable for me. On the heels of several months of not having the kind of fun and pleasurable foods that I normally would have, even portion-controlled bits of them, there was just a little bit of, the dimmer switch. And you know what? It's 73. I don't want a dimmer switch on. there's enough of that going on just naturally. So, anyway, before the fourth nor'easter hits me, I'm going down to get that Amish butter. And if I can get down there early enough, I'll take a photo of it, and that will be the photo for the podcast image this week. But at any rate, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, as my mother used to say. And those ladies seem to be slowing up a bit. I'm very happy about that. But I do want to share with you one of the darker sides of doing regular exercise in a track. And I am someone that's always listening to something, podcasts or something like that, or radio programs, and I'm not tuned in to, talking with other people or whatever. I'm just in my own world. But there's a older, dare I say, elderly woman who I have seen in the past couple months, a couple of times, 3 times a week, I run across her. And she's a petite woman, very thin woman. And she also seems to be propelled by some sort of engine that is not available to most humans. And she carries herself with 2 hand weights. And literally, I get a wind draft when she passes me. Okay? Now, when these ladies just now pass me, there's no wind draft. When this slip of a woman passes me, there's a wind draft. And she's also carrying these hand weights. So she is like just doing her due diligence and dedication. And she annoys the hell out of me. I am not proud to say it. As she's going by, sometimes she'll wave. And I'm like, Pat, why does this woman annoy you? Because she's showing you up? She's passing you? She's doing the weights and you're not doing it? And you're just ambling along listening to your podcast? What is it? And I really have not answered it. It could be all of the above. It could be none of that. She's a perfectly nice woman. But she annoys me. And I thought, you know what? Gym folks and the gym relationships, I think I'm going to have to do a podcast about that, because there's a whole world up here and in here. And, I'm hoping this woman never hears my podcast. But if she does, may I say, good on you for being fleet of foot and doing the power walking with the weights and everything. And you know what? I wish you well, but you drive me crazy. So there you have the best and the worst of me. Almost every week, actually. All right. Oh, and P.S., I'm going to put on the show notes page, www.artofthediet.com/137, I think. Better check, but at any rate, there's a Iranian woman who has an Instagram account, and she is a baker extraordinaire. And she photographs these scenes with what she bakes. Now, maybe she doesn't bake it all. Maybe she buys some of it. Maybe some of her friends bake it. But I'm telling you, she can create the most luscious looking dessert trays and meal combinations. And yesterday, she posted this snowy landscape, like somebody's backyard that was totally snowed in, like I could totally relate. And now I don't know anything about Iran and the weather, but I know that they have different zones like the United States does. So I'm presuming she's got a backyard that has snow in it, just like I do. And she created, I would say, about 40 different desserts. Hers is a house I could not maintain a weight loss in, okay? Because really, I don't know what she does with all this stuff. Maybe she sells it or gives it away, but at any rate, she put all of the dishes on outside in the snow and then took a photo. So the first half of the photo, the vertical photo, the first half of the photo is just white snow, and in the bottom of it are all these luscious looking desserts. And I posted it on my Facebook page and went, storm food. And I am not going to bake anything, but I am going to buy that Amish butter. And that will be my, if I have a snowbank, I'll put it in. All right, so really, this is it. Take care. Hope you have a good week and fair skies at some point on this first day of spring. First day of spring. All right. Bye.